you heard of triangulation? Even if you don't know the word, chances are you have experienced it during a conflict at work or even at home. Joining me now to talk about this toxic phenomenon is Dr. Karyn Gordon. And I'm wondering if you can start by just breaking down this term for us, Karyn, because as soon as you explain it, people are going to be like, oh, I know that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I posted something about triangulation on my Instagram, and I got so much response from it. I think actually that's when somebody from Cityline actually said we have to do a segment on this because it's so interesting. Once people actually understand it, you're going to see it everywhere from the playground to the boardroom. So what it is basically if I have an issue with you, Tracy, I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say you and I have a misunderstanding about something. Instead of me going to talk to you directly, I'm going to go talk to a third person, Susan or Barb or somebody else, a third person. So now what I've done is I've just kind of I've created what's called a triangle. The terminology is triangulation. This happens with children. This happens in the classroom. This happens at the boardroom. This happens in family systems. And it is really, really toxic because all of a sudden now what's happening is that if this is the real example with what I'm talking to you about, all of a sudden now I'm talking about you behind your back. You don't even know I'm upset. You don't even know, what the issue is. It could be a completely simple misunderstanding, but I haven't honored you because it's about honor. I have not honored you by actually going directly to you with what I should have done in that kind of example.
Now, I know why I used to do this, and it's because I really don't like conflict. It's been very liberating to move away from it, though, and then just deal with the person that you've got an issue with. But I want to hear from you, Karyn. Why do people do this? Why do we create the triangle?
So we create the triangle, and I so appreciate your honesty, Tracy, about this because I think the majority of us have done it at some point without even actually realizing the terminology, because if we don't learn how to deal with conflict, it's so tempting. But the main reason why people do it, it's almost a manipulative tactic to reduce anxiety. So if I have, again, that example that I was sharing, if I have an issue with you and I don't know how to talk to you about it, and I have anxiety or uncertainty about it, it is so much more tempting for me to go talk to somebody else. And what it does is actually reduces anxiety. And so that's one of the main reasons people do it. They also do it also for social power. There's something that's really unfortunate that when we tell secrets to other people behind their back, it kind of gives us this unhealthy social power. And so I would say that's probably the two main reasons. And really the third main one is like we just haven't taught we haven't taught this well, this very, very fundamental emotional intelligence skill about how do we actually learn how to deal with conflict and do it really well. Because the best relationships at work and at home have learned how to lean into conflict. That's not something that to be scared of. We can have fear about it, but we have to learn how to lean into it and actually to solve the problems.
Yeah, because it's okay. It's okay to have conflict. We're all human beings. You're not going to agree on everything.
Absolutely.
Things are going to happen. Like there'll be some misunderstandings. So you already sort of touched on why this can be problematic. Anything else you want to mention in terms of why this is so toxic, why it's a toxic trait?
It is. I think one of the other main reasons is because it freezes problems. Like nothing gets solved. And actually, it makes it a lot worse because now we're going to create a lot of drama. And the other thing about it is there's been a lot of research around how unresolved conflict affects our health. Like we're going into mental health awareness month. Like when we talk about well-being, learning how to deal with conflict really well, it solves problems, it saves us time, it helps us sleep better, and actually saves our relationships. So there's wins right across the board when we actually learn how to deal with it well.
Oh, you got it. Okay, how do we fix or stop ourselves from creating these triangles, Karyn?
Okay, so the first thing we want to realize is that we are going to either be tempted or we're going to be somebody's going to try to draw us in. So now that we kind of understand what triangulation is, do not allow yourself to be triangled. So if somebody is trying to tell you something, so let's say, Tracy, somebody at work tries to tell you something about some other coworker. What you do is it's what I call you de-triangle yourself. You're like, well, thanks for sharing, but I'm not the right person to tell. I encourage you to go talk to them directly. So we're now actually redirecting. So you're actually almost kind of shielding yourself and not allowing yourself to actually have that information. So that's one example. Another example is actually in the classroom. So a lot of times, you'll see this if a child gets a bad mark on a test. What do? They go home, they complain to their parents, and their parents then call the school. What have we just done? We've just created a triangle. So as a parent, what you want to do is you tell your child, thanks for sharing. it's really important for you to go talk to your teacher directly. And so what you're doing, even as a parent, you are not allowing your children to triangle you as parents to kind of try to quote unquote solve the problem.
Oh my gosh, I love this. And I've actually said to teachers of my kids, talk to my kid about that. Like they've got to take responsibility for their actions and they're not doing assignments. They're not my assignments. They're my kid's assignments. So please talk to the kid versus getting me involved in the triangle. I love this segment. I can talk to you forever about it, but of course we're out of time because we're always out of time, Karyn. Thank you so much.
We're always out of time.
Dr.